Okay. Wait, is the stream live right now? Hello everyone and welcome back to the Valley of the Sun, as this afternoon it's the annual ASU Gymnastics Inter-Squad Meet featuring Team Maroon and Team Gold. Welcome to Desert Financial Arena for our last stream of 2020. Caleb Bushy here alongside Heather Udowich, the former ASU gymnast. We are coming to you from the concourse level of this arena. And Heather, it's been a long while. It's the COVID-19 shutdown. This was a tough time for the ASU Gym Devils. Their last matchup against LSU, it got canceled while they were on their way on the airplane.
Yep.
So, and you've talked about with gymnastics, it's always very important to get those reps and keep practicing, especially during the off season. But they weren't able to do that. So this off season had to be very challenging.
Yeah, you know, it was an off season unlike any other. Such an unprecedented year for our world. And you know, with gymnastics, you don't really get an off season. You train through the summer. You have preseason the entire fall. All in preparation for the spring year. So, you know, the good thing is at least since it was such a national shutdown, there was no competitive advantage across the world and for college gymnastics. But this team has done a great job of staying mentally strong and focused, all in preparation for this upcoming season.
And the good news is with this COVID-19 pandemic is that everyone was on the same level. Everyone had to go into isolation at least for a certain amount of time. So it's definitely, however, been a tough obstacle for this team. But what about the seniors we lost Some of them, Morgan Wilson and Jessica Ginn, some of those top seniors among some of them. But what do you think of those team members they lost? I mean, it's obviously going to be a little tough since they got some basically a new team here.
Yeah, you know, it was definitely a big loss. It was a very big senior class that was really impactful and really strong leaders both inside and outside of the gym. But it happens. It's part of college athletics. Every year there's a new cycle, and that gives opportunities for the next round of kids to really step up and be leaders in their own way. Kyra Leonard Baker has always been a fan favorite, one of the best on the team, and she's really been able to step into that role this year.
Without a doubt, this will be Kyra Leonard Baker's last season with the Gym Devils, so obviously it's going to be an exciting season ahead. We're going to have the first rotation coming up here in just a few minutes. We're going to take a break. You're watching. Back here on Pac-12 Plus, here in our last stream of 2020. We're less than 48 hours until 2021 and a new gymnastics season with it very soon. The Gym Devils will be officially kicking off their season on January 10th on the road against the powerhouse Oklahoma. And that's not going to be an easy task for them right at the start of the season, would you think?
You know, Oklahoma, I believe, is ranked number 2 in their preseason ranking. But it's a great way to start the season, see what's out there, and see how, we can match up against them.
It would definitely be interesting to see how they perform, but we're getting to see them perform here today, and a little bit of a different setup here is a lot of the setup here is very spread out. Like I mentioned earlier in the intro, we are coming from the concourse level, and it's becoming a little bit different here with the COVID-19 restrictions, everything being socially distanced, so that's obviously good news to see. And going into the first rotation, we are going to start with vaults and then bars. They're going to rotate in and out, but Gracie Reeves is going to be up first, and then Jada Mengahas on bars. So, but Gracie will be first on vaults as we await the start of that. And here we go.
Gracie Reeves was a strong competitor on vault last year. Noted 9.9s as a freshman, so I know everyone's really looking forward to seeing her compete this upcoming season as a sophomore.
Her second year in. And like I said, I mean, even though the season got canceled, they were just about to wrap up their season. It was their last matchup of the regular season when they were taking on LSU, and then it was supposed to be the Pac-12 championships. But they still got to play the majority of their season. So, all right, waiting to start here. And Gracie Reeves will be on the vault. And here we go.
Just a Yurchenko tuck full today. We might see that throughout the competition. Usually she does a Yurchenko full and a half, but since it's so early in the season, we'll see some girls maybe doing some easier skills just to save their bodies for the postseason, where it really counts.
Yeah, don't want to risk too much here because this is just the inter-squad meet. And now Jada Mengahas now going on the bars.
This will be her first time competing here in Desert Financial Arena. Drawing Pike Yeager into that overshoot. Hit her feet there on the bottom, but she's a freshman, and that's why we have these practice reps and inter squads, so they can get used to this competition feeling. Big full and dismount, a little low on that landing, but overall a strong start, especially as a freshman.
Definitely not bad at all. And now going on vaults, it's like Emily White.
Emily White is another freshman. Caleb, like you said earlier, they lost a pretty big senior class. So, that opens up a lot of the lineups for a freshman class to come in and compete.
It'll definitely help fill in the void. Waiting to start here, a little delay. And it looks like the judges here are signaling for help.
sometimes that happens in competition, and you got to stand there and wait a little bit longer to compete.
Yeah.
You really got to stay mentally strong and not let the nerves get to you, because you're ready to go.
I know
You're
it.
fired up. You've spoken to your teammates. You've spoken to the coaches. You just got to stand there and wait.
How can the pressure not be like hard to deal with, especially like you're just waiting for the go-ahead, you know?
Oh my gosh, you know, that's why you practice. That, like I said earlier, we practice through summer and fall, so you're able to mentally handle anything that comes at you, even something that seems so minor as a wait time before you compete. That stuff can get in your head. It's all mental at this point. These girls have done the reps. A lot of it is just a mental challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely more of a practicing the mind games aspect of it is tough as well. Well, here she goes.
Nice Yurchenko layout full. That starts from a 9.95 as opposed to a 10 with a step back. You know, you'd really prefer to see a step back as opposed to a step forward, because you know the girls over-rotated instead of under-rotated, which could potentially lead to a bigger deduction.
Hannah Scharf now on the bars.
This is a strong event for Hannah. She's really clean lines. She's a consistent bar worker. Nice chapache, straight into that pack salto. All she has left is the dismount. Nice routine. You know,
Wow.
she's a really solid bar worker for this team.
Very strong performance by Scharf right there. And so far, so good for this team on both sides. So now Juliet Boyer is now set to go on vault.
Juliet, another strong freshman from last year. She competed the all-around last year, looking to come back and build from a strong freshman season.
Now still waiting official go-ahead from the judges here.
It's a good preparation for when it counts in competition.
Yeah, even the judges get practice. There you go. So, well, here we go.
Another good Yurchenko full. You can kind of see the difference between her and Emily White's. Juliet landed there with her chest a little bit lower, which will be a more of a deduction, but a very clean vault, good block off the table. That's really like what you want to see.
So now back to the bars, and looks like to wrap up the first rotation on bars will be Kyra Leonard Baker. Oh, sorry, Sarah Clark. Apologies.
This is another freshman from California. Similarly to Hannah, she has a really clean line, a nice toe point. She can really show it off on bars. Clean Jaeger. She's a really nice bar worker. You can see it, just how the bars flow. It looks really natural. It's not forced. Really nice routine. Almost stuck that landing too. That was a great start, especially as a freshman. Very clean.
Very clean indeed. So after that, it looks like Kyra Leonard Baker is prepping for bars. Currently no one in the vault, Matt. So it looks like we may just see Leonard Baker next year. And since this is an inter-squad scrimmages, scores are not really the big thing we're looking for here. It's overall performance. And that's what a lot of these gymnasts are here to do today. And this is also the first inter-squad scrimmage being broadcast here on Pac-12 Plus. And a huge welcome to all the fans watching, including our favorite 942ers. So now we're just immediately going to go to the next person on bars, and that is none other than star gymnast Kyra Leonard-Baker in her senior season here.
No better way to start a senior season than one of your best events. Historically, Kyra's always been really strong on bars. The funny thing is, her routine now isn't even all the skills she can do. Kyra can do pretty much any skill in the book on this event. Almost stuck that landing too. Team looks really strong this early in the year.
And with that, that is going to wrap up the first rotation here. And so what are your thoughts after seeing both performance on the vault and bars? It seems pretty promising.
Yeah, you know, the team looks really clean. You didn't see a lot of form breaks, which is where a lot of the deductions can add up and accumulate. So with that in mind, knowing that it's December and, you know, hopefully the season goes up until NCAA championship, so knowing that you can be this clean early on is extremely promising, just because that's where it counts at the end of the day, and that's where a lot of points can get deducted.
Indeed. Well, we have quite a few minutes until the second rotation, so we're going to go to a quick feature by Reed Harmon of Cronkite News, who does a feature on social media with the Sun Devil Athletics social media team. And here's a look at. Welcome back here to Desert Financial Arena as we get ready for the second rotation here in the ASU inter-squad scrimmage, or meet, I guess is the best way. Caleb Bushy here alongside Heather Udowich, and so far it's been a good piece of action we've gotten so far. And what do you think after we get ready after this first intermission? What are your thoughts of the team so far?
The team looks really good. You know, this is a great opportunity for the girls to get used to being back in the arena and competing on a little bit of stiffer landings than in the practice facility. Team looks good, very clean, strong gymnastics.
And the intermission about to conclude in less than a second now. Jada Mangahas will be on vault, and then she'll be followed by Cassie Barbanete. And we want to note Team Maroon is in the complete solid color maroon leotards, and Team Gold has the maroon and gold gradient, like we see there from Jada.
And you know, Jada's from Parkettes in Pennsylvania, which a lot of strong college gymnasts come from. Ashley and Kate Safransky, also ASU gymnastics alumni, were from the same gym.
So here we go.
Yurchenko layout full, a little bit of leg separation there in the air, but a good strong block off the table with that just a small step on the landing.
So now we switch over to bars, and Cassie Barbanete now on bars to start off this first round, or conclude this first round of the second rotation here. Ooh.
Oh boy. Just let go of the bar a little too early on that release move and wasn't able to get close enough to grab it.
And I mean, I could be wrong here, but it looks like her hands may have clammed up on the bar too much.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it just happens. But like we said earlier, this is just the inner squad. Sometimes you have to get used to the equipment, change of the scenery.
And it's good that they're making these mistakes now and not later in the season, you know.
Absolutely. Make them now. It's better to be aggressive and just see what happens. And then from there, they can make adjustments. You know, so she was supposed to connect that first release move that she missed into that bail overshoot. So she'll miss a connection bonus. A little bit of form breaks in the Giants. Once she makes that routine, it's going to be a strong score for the Sun Devils. Just got to make that connection. It's right there.
So next up on vault will be Hannah Scharf, who we saw earlier on bars in the first rotation.
Yurchenko full stuck. That is what you want to see, a stuck landing. There is no deduction on that landing. her feet just planted into the ground. It looked like if someone came to push her over, she still wouldn't have even taken a step.
We definitely would have heard a stick chant from the 9 for 2 crew if they were here. Very impressive on vault right there.
Yeah, they're here in spirit.
Yes, they are.
We got the cutouts, the cardboard cutouts, and all the pool noodles ready to go.
Right. Emily White now on set to go for bars. And after that, she'll be followed by Carol Leonard Baker, who will be doing vaults after this one. And just awaiting the go-ahead from the judges here. It looks like Coach Santos here is talking. Now waiting to go. And yeah, we're just waiting here.
Again, good practice for when this happens in competition, because it does happen, and sometimes it happens when you're about to anchor on beam.
Yes.
And you know, you've already had a fall and your routine's got to count, so hey, let it happen here. Let them get used to having to wait before they compete. That's okay.
Oh, here we go now. Emily White.
Nice chapoche half. It's a little bit more difficult as she added that half turn. That'll really make her stand out, one, in the bar lineup, and two, compared to competition. Really nice routine. All she has left is that dismount. One giant is that double layout, a big step on the ending. Other than that, an incredible routine by a freshman. Very clean. You eliminate that step, and it's going to be a really, really high score for the Sun Devils.
And now the star gymnast is back once again. We saw she had an impressive performance on the bars, and now she goes on the vault.
Another Yurchenko full. She took a couple of steps, but covered it up well in the ending. You know, Kyra's a strong vaulter. She'll clean that up just in time for season. She knows where she needs to clean it up, and she'll know what to do. Overall, a good Yurchenko layout full. Just that landing was a little uneasy.
Yes, a little uneasy, but
a seasoned veteran.
yes, a seasoned veteran, as
seasoned.
I think is the best way to describe it. So she'll know what to do. So, and like we said, you know, it's always good to make those mistakes now, because this is the inner squad. It doesn't really count for their record or anything like that. So that's always good to note. So Gracie Reeves, so we switch over back to bars. She's going to be up next. And taking a look at the team total for bars, 29.1 for Maroon. You're going to see that change here.
Nice Jaeger, very good amplitude. A little short on that last handstand. Nice double layout. Almost stuck the landing too. Clean routine, no major breaks. Really strong way to start off the year.
That's been great.
See him doing those air fives on the sidelines.
Well, vault is done for this rotation, and instead of going back to vault, Juliet Boyer is going to step up now to be on bars next. And a little bit different here, since this is inter squad. There'll be 4 on vaults and then 3 on bars, so it will kind of alternate as we go on.
Juliet is another really artistically sound athlete. She's very technical. When you watch, similarly to Emily White, she really floats on the bars. It's really natural, really smooth, a very clean bar worker.
So Boyer now set to go.
A little short on that first handstand. Nice connection from that chapash straight into a pack salto. Good handstand. A little bit of step on that landing, but once again, another clean routine.
Very clean. And, I mean, that's the thing about gymnastics. You have to be very nitpicky when you're one of those judges.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to me, that looked amazing, but I'm sure for the way you're looking at it, it's a little bit of a different angle.
You know, it's funny. Gymnastics really makes you a perfectionist, not only in the sport, but at life. The only thing that really stands out to me about that routine is the first handstand was a little short, not bad, not too much of a deduction, and then the landing on that dismount. You saw her chest was forward, so that'll be a deduction in addition to the step. So if she just gets her feet under her a little bit quicker and can rotate that dismount a little bit more, she'll be right there ready to plant her feet into the ground and stick the landing.
Yeah, and I think that's a common thing I'm seeing here, at least from this rotation, is sticking the landing has been a little bit difficult for these student athletes, both on vaults and on bars.
Yeah, I think the only stuck that we saw might have been from Hannah Scharf on vault from that rotation. And you know, sticking is one of the things that takes all season to master, because you at the end of the season, you've really had the time to be critical about each part of the routine. And the stick, it's one of those things that it can be so easy when it's on, but you really have to focus on it and make sure that the skill leading up to the stick is what makes it happen.
Indeed. Well, that's 2 rotations done, and now when we come back for the 3rd and 4th rotations, we're going to go switch over to beam and floor. That's going to be coming up in a few minutes, but now we're going to go to another feature to Soranen Reboin on her story with the cardboard cutouts, and for a good... Welcome back here inside Desert Financial Arena in Tempe. It's been a beautiful day as we get ready for the new year, and so far we are halfway through this inter-squad meet. We have already completed competition on bars and vault, and now we are going to shift competition over to beam and floor. But Heather, what are your thoughts after seeing all of, at least half of this competition so far on 2 of the competitions?
You know, I would say that vaults and bars look like really strong events for the Sun Devils for this upcoming season. Like I said earlier, they were really clean. There wasn't a lot of form breaks or even falls. There was only the 1 fall on bars, which will be it's one of those things that just happens, and it can get taken care of here early. Get used to the arena atmosphere and this type of environment. So I would say it's been a strong start and a really clean start at that.
So now starting off on beam will be Juliet Boyer, and then after that we go to the floor with Sarah Clark. And we were talking about this during the break. You know, the material on that beam, you've kind of described it as sandpaper with some soft material.
Yeah, pretty good explanation.
Yes, yes.
I definitely didn't do the beam justice. You know, I talk about it when people ask me if I miss the sport. I miss doing beam. It's weird how therapeutic it is when you're up there.
Really?
It's really calming because you're listening. There's music playing. You're up there. You're just in your zone, doing your thing. When you have that confidence, it's a really calming experience.
Oh my gosh.
It seems scary on the outside. You know, I even watch it now. I'm like, oh my gosh, how is that possible? But
yeah,
when you're up there doing it, it's a pretty remarkable feeling.
Well, here we go now. Boyer is up.
Juliet has such pretty lines. I really like watching her on this event in bars. Little balance check there. You can really see her toe point. It's just like a ballerina. It's beautiful. Starting off with a series back handspring layout, stuck cold. A lot of times that's one of the most challenging skills to do on beam. Nice artistry by Juliet.
Widen out just a little bit, Spencer, and get the floor. Good. Now push in. Just a bit. There. And your right just a little bit, Spencer.
Switch leap connection. It might look easy, but believe me, it takes a lot of strength. It's a lot harder than it looks, and Juliet makes it look really nice.
It was a little hard to tell, but it looks like she may have gotten a little loss of balance.
Yeah, a little bit of a balance check, but not bad. A good start, especially as her first routine in preparation for the 21 season.
Yeah. Well, it's good so far. And now over to the floor. First floor routine is going to be Sarah Clark.
Really looking forward to seeing these routines. A lot of new routines, new faces. Floor is really an event where the girls can show off their personalities. It's not as nerve-wracking as maybe beam. So we're in for more of a performance on the floor exercise.
It's all about fun, you know?
It is. You know, the girls can kind of let loose and relax and show off what they've been practicing. A little bit of a knee buckle on that landing.
It's obviously got to be tough because there's springs on those corners of the mat.
Yeah, you know, it's a spring floor. Especially when you're not using mats on the floor, you got to get used to those landings. And you know, it's funny, the freshmen don't have the energy of a crowd, so it's a little bit more of an advantage because it does feel like practice for them, but for the upperclassmen who are used to having that energy in the arena and using it for their routines, it's a little bit different. Definitely a loss without the crowd, especially on the floor exercise.
Exactly, I could already see the difference with no crowd.
It is night and day. Yeah, there's nothing like competing in a full arena. You feel like a rock star.
Exactly, yeah.
Just ran out of endurance there. And you know, it's mistakes like that, like an endurance mistake, that's where a significant amount of time off can hurt a gymnast, particularly because you can rely on that endurance and that technique to get you through passes like that at the end.
Wow.
But you know, like we said earlier, this is just the inner squad. Ironically, that was probably her easiest pass. So with a little bit of endurance, she'll be able to make that no problem, especially when it counts.
So now waiting to go back here on beam. And I think that was definitely the biggest dramatic difference with no crowd. It looks like we got a change on the floor for gold. So Jada's going to be going third, but Emily White will be going on now for beam.
Again, we've seen her lines throughout the previous events, so I'm really looking forward to see her using that artistry to her advantage on this event. It's really where you can show off the dance and your lines. Nice, solid back handspring layout step out. Some wobble on that front aerial, that'll be a deduction. She looks really calm though, able to make it up throughout the rest of the routine without worry. She's a really calm beam worker. She doesn't get antsy. It's a really good character to have. Side aerial full, a little step on that dismount. You take out that wobble in the front aerial, and you got a strong routine. I think she'll be a really strong beam worker looking into this upcoming season.
Yeah, the dismount and the wobble when she almost lost balance there were key things to look out for in that performance on beam. Now going on the floor. And this is Hannah Scharf on the floor.
Nice opening pass. You saw her land with her chest up. Good presentation on the landing. You can see her really getting into this routine. Good, what a very strong performer. Gearing up for that last pass. A double pike. And if you end with a double flipping element like Hannah did, you actually get an additional 10th in bonus. On beam, floor, and bars, you start from a 9-4 and you have to add skills together either through combination or difficulty to get up to a 10. And ending with a double back like Hannah just did is one way to do that.
And that had to be an extremely hard difficulty to pull that off on the floor.
That's a hard pass to land on. You really got to have good endurance and technique heading into it.
Sienna Samily now on the beam.
A little bit of a wobble for that connection of that Finero back pike. She's looking like she's settling into this routine. Into the dismount, stuck landing. She had that little balance check, that bobble in between her front aerial back pike connection, which, you know, that it's an important connection, and you don't want to ever give it up to the judges for interpretation with an important connection like that. But the rest of her routine was solid. She seemed to really settle in, get used to the environment, and enjoy herself up there.
So now back over to the floor is Jada Mengahas.
Full in opening pass. Now that is an E difficulty value.
Yeah.
It definitely makes you stand out and potentially score higher because it is so difficult. You saw Jess go in there and spot it. Again, to save her body a little bit, make sure that she can land a little bit softer on that mat, ensure no injuries, especially you want the girls to be as healthy as possible heading into the season at such an early stage.
And, you know, just as another reminder how important the crowd was to hear, the 942 crew used to be in the corners, literally set up that close to the floor.
Oh yeah, one of the greatest parts of my career was competing with the sport in 942. You know, they memorized parts of our routines, they really got into it with us, and you just feel like an absolute rock star. It is one of the most fun experiences that I had as a college athlete. A little short on that double pike. You saw her chest down. She saved it from a fall, but it'll still be a deduction, unfortunately.
Still quite impressive, though.
Absolutely, a difficult routine. Similarly to Sarah, it was a bit of an endurance issue, but again, it's early and she can work on it and prepare for the season.
So now Gracie Reeves on beam to wrap up this rotation, at least on the beam side.
Triple series. You know, she fought for it. She really fought to stay on that beam. Because if you grab the beam, it's less of a deduction than if you fall off. But that's okay. She's notably a very strong beam worker, really consistent for the team. It's too bad because it's a strong beam set.
And it just goes to show how much they strive for perfection in this sport and how hard and difficult this is.
Nice front aerial, was able to just dance right out of it. Round off 1.5, dismount into that stuck landing. See, just giving her some corrections for that mistake.
So now we get ready to shift over to the floor. Kyra Leonard Baker, who was supposed to go third, is going fourth now to wrap up this third rotation. And Leonard Baker, from the past times I've seen her on the floor, she has absolutely energized the crowd. And like I said, just another reminder, it's a bummer not having these fans here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Kyra has been anchoring floor since her freshman year at home. It's by that time, by the end of the competition, there's just so much energy pumping through the arena. It's a great feeling. Everyone is excited and cheering. It's great. So definitely disappointing that we can't experience that right now.
And if anyone has had the most, passionate energy on the floor from the crowd and from the whole floor routine, from what I've seen, it's been Kyra.
A new routine for her senior season. Nice opening pass, really solid on that landing.
And Kyra has been a long veteran. She's been doing this since she's been 1 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And you said you started gymnastics in year 3.
When I was 3,
I think
yeah.
out of all the student athletes I've met on this team, I think Kyra has started the earliest,
Yeah,
if I had to guess.
Think so. I don't think you can beat that.
Literally hear the clap of thunder as she lands on the mat.
Yeah.
Just perfect timing there.
Just doing a layout for that last pass. Similarly to how Jada got spotted, you just want to save those bodies for competition, make sure the girls are healthy and safe heading into the 21 season.
Well, what a way to wrap up the third rotation. And with Kyra Leonard Baker, one of the star gymnasts. And I think it was definitely a good way to wrap up the first round of action from beam and floor. You saw little problems there with the balance on beam, but other than that, I think it was pretty good so far.
Yeah, a little bit of balance checks, but that's normal at this point in the season. I remember doing it when I was competing. This year, those nerves, it's a little bit harder to manage this earlier on in the season, but with a little bit more practice and competition, it'll be no problem for the Sun Devils.
Well, hopefully it will be. When we come back, we'll have the fourth and final rotation on beam and floor, so stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes. Welcome back to Desert Financial Arena. 3 rotations down. And still one more to go as we are just minutes away from that. But now in Tempe at Desert Financial Arena, still waiting the start of the fourth and final rotation here in Tempe. And we're going to go to more action from the beam and floor to wrap this up. And Heather, we are pretty much 75% done with this event. And what are your thoughts so far, seeing how all the routines now, floor, beam, bars, and vaults?
You know, so far so good. This is the best way I can describe it. It's simple, but not a whole lot of major mistakes. It's not over till it's over, but a little bit of balance checks, form, endurance, simple things that are pretty expected beginning this early into the season. So they look really good. It's been a delight to be here and watch them compete.
Well, Kyle Leonard Baker, who closed the third rotation on floor, is now opening this rotation on beam.
She had a little bit of a bobble on that first go.
Almost losing balance there.
A little bit of a bobble there. But, you know, like I said, this is all the preliminary stuff that can kind of be expected just because it's early and you can really work out these kinks throughout the season. But she stuck that landing. You know, usually that's a struggle at this point, but that part was easy for Cairo.
I almost lost balance there, but she was able to still maintain control of it.
Yeah.
Now we go over to the floor. And Gracie Reeves will open this rotation on floor.
Another really strong performer. She gets into her routine, into the music, does competes in an entire routine. So not just in the tumbling, but in the dance as well.
And to kind of compare the difference between beam and floor, you know, floor is very kind of high volume, very energetic. And beam, as you and your friend Morgan Wilson put it, very therapeutic and calm.
Yeah, you know, floor you really have to have that energy, that power. Beam is kind of the opposite. You've got to calm yourself down, get into your rhythm, and focus, and let your body just do what it does naturally and best, and not overthink it. Floor, you can kind of just attack it and go aggressively. Beam yourself to do that, but you got to have a channel a little bit of a different focus.
Stand by 3. Inside.
Nice, Rudy. A little bit of that chest down on the landing, but not bad. She pulled it up nice.
So I'm with you. All right, 1, stand by.
Another nice, clean routine.
2, return to the bar.
And a good way to start off the floor routines here in this final rotation. So Jada Mengas now up on beam.
Right into that front pike, nice and solid. A very nice, smooth connection. Backhand swing out, another solid connection.
Stand by 1. Beautiful, Mike. 1 is high. Stay with 1. Phone up. Going 3 seconds. Stand by 3. 3 is high.
A little bit I saw her foot didn't get around all the way for her to stand up and lock the landing.
All of this round. Good.
Setter full stuck. You saw her really show off that stick landing. You eliminate that bobble after the front aerial, and it's another really strong, solid, consistent beam worker. You can tell she's just really confident and calm throughout the entire routine, even with that bobble.
So far, Mangahas and Leonard Baker both had trouble with balance there on the beam.
1%.
And now we go back to the floor. And it looks like they're scoring it, which is why for the slight delay. But Emily White is set to go on the floor. And while we're waiting here, a little shout out to a familiar 942 crew exec who we hope is watching, LB Silver. Very big happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday, LB.
Yes, he is such a huge supporter of Sun Devil Gymnastics. He's even gotten to help memorize your guys' routines to help fire up the crowd.
Yeah, you know, like we said earlier, you know, 942 has such an impact on the home competitions for Sun Devil Gymnastics, and LB really helps lead that. One of my standout competitions was Utah. It was our biggest crowd ever, I want to say, at home. Definitely our biggest student section. To be completely honest, I feel like I blinked out that entire routine. I was just so excited. It was incredible.
LB, such an enthusiastic person, so we're sad he couldn't be here, but hopefully he is watching and cheering on this team.
Yeah, definitely missing the impact of the crowd, and it's, oh my gosh, you know, like I said earlier, for the freshmen, it's a little bit of an advantage just because the nerves, it's not as intense, the pressure doesn't feel the same. It feels like practice, but for the upperclassmen who are used to using that energy to their favor, it's more of a disadvantage because the energy in the arena that you can feed off of just isn't there.
Right up close. And it's not just, you know, to be more specific, like it's not just getting the claps on cue, but every time they land, they always, you know, say boom or something like that, just to, you know, help them stick it. And they're very interactive throughout the entire routine, and they do more than just one thing, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And we see the team kind of helping
build that energy.
Exactly, for the crowd with the count.
Yeah. Yeah, the girls are always cheering for each other. It's one of the greatest things of college athletics is everyone's really is in the corner dancing with you, cheering you on. You know, you've all been through preseason and summer training together, and you're really there for each other.
It's all about respect and, you know, just knowing how hard it was just to get to this point, you know. It's like we were talking about earlier, you know, Carol Leonard Baker and, you know, some of these gymnasts, including yourself, have done this since you were very, very young.
Yeah.
And there's that respect level.
Yeah. You all know what it's like to get to that level, and you respect each other for it, and you really appreciate the support that you have and the confidence that your teammates give to you. You know, there's no way I wouldn't have made it without my teammates.
And I think that's the biggest thing you miss about being on this team,
gosh,
you know?
Absolutely. I miss just going in and hanging out with my best friends every day. It's the best thing. There's nothing like it. Nice full front pike from Emily White.
Really good performance by White.
She's been clean really this whole day.
Definitely one of the star gymnasts we've seen throughout the day today in this inter-squad meet.
Like I said on bars, she's similarly to Emily White and Julia Boyer, a really clean performer, has really nice lines, and beam is an event that you can really show that off in the dance and the artistry.
Halfway through this final rotation, and Sarah Clark now here on beam.
Solid triple series. You saw she did a layout step out, which is extremely difficult, right into that stuck landing.
Just did it like it was no problem.
Yeah.
Made it look easy.
That's what you want to see. If you make it look easy, you know that's some good gymnastics.
And not to jinx it here, but like I said, the past two beam performances, when Leonard Baker and Mangahas, they both had trouble with balance. Hopefully That's not the case here with Clark. It's so far so good.
Yeah, so far so good, but with beam you always kind of have to hold your breath and focus on the next thing because
Yes.
you lose your focus for a little bit and it's, you know, you could fall right there. So you got to focus throughout the entire routine. A little bit of a step backward on that back handspring, 4.5 dismount, but you know, that layout stuff was just beautiful at the beginning of the routine. She was solid throughout, really calm. Like you said, Caleb, she made it look easy, and that's how gymnastics should be performed. Easy.
And she was also able to nail the balance there, something she has been the only gymnast to do in this rotation on the beam. So really good. Juliet Boyer now on set here to go for the floor.
I love watching Juliet on floor. You know, she really floats in between her passes. She's really light on her feet. Like you said, makes the routine look really easy. She's just like a butterfly, just floating on the floor in between her passes.
And Boyer, this will be the last floor routine ever, pretty much, of this meet. And currently awaiting judges' scores here.
You know, every year the gymnastics rules change, as if it's not hard enough. The judging changes, the start value changes, the code changes, everything changes, and these girls really have to be able to adapt and change their routines as fit.
So now Boyer set to go here to wrap up the floor routine here. And then after that, it's one more event on the beam. So 2 more to go here. And let's see how this closes out.
Very nice first pass. Saw how the second flip was a little bit higher than the first. Pretty difficult to do on floor, but like I said, Juliet makes that look really easy. She just bounces right into the air. Chest down a little bit on that double pike.
Another thing to look out for, her toes have to be sharp pointed.
Oh yeah, she does such a great job of showing that artistry.
Not a problem there so far.
Strong last pass. See Coach Jay Santos in the background clapping. He knows it's a good routine too.
Feeling very confident about that performance, as he should be. Proud coach moment there. Well, Hannah Scharf now on beam for this final performance here at this meet. And let's see how she does. Clark, it'll be hard to duplicate what Clark was able to do earlier.
Nothing Hannah can't handle though. She's a very good beam competitor. That turn, very difficult to compete. She nailed it right off the bat.
And that's got to be a lot of pains in the knees while you're
Oh my gosh, I can't even sit like that.
literally putting that much pressure on your toes.
She had a little bit of a balance check after that series, but nothing major. Little balance check. Gearing up for a dismount. Round off 1.5, stuck. You know,
What a way to end it right there with the stick.
Great way to close out this competition. And you know, on bars they didn't stick so many landings, but on beam they definitely did. So it's a really strong area. You know, it just shows they can do it. A stuck landing is a stuck landing, whether it's on bars, beam, floor. It's right there.
And something, you know, kind of rare we've seen all day is the getting the stick landing, and we got to see it right there to close out this event. I couldn't think of another way to kind of end it right there. So now, waiting the judges' scores here, but you know, taking a look at the scores, this is unofficial, but Team Maroon has 116.175. Gold has 115.775. So as it looks right now, Team Maroon could win this. But, you know, as we said, it's not really about kind of who wins or loses. It's really all about how they performed getting ready for this season.
Yeah, this is definitely a good test to see how the girls do in this environment, get them used to it so that heading into that first meet, no matter where it is, they know what this environment feels like. You know, they know how to prepare for those little things like maybe having to wait for the judges. So the scoring, even though it's important here, it's really important for the girls to get used to this environment, cheering each other on, waiting, the order of the competition, the events, all that stuff.
Well, it looks like we got an exhibition here with Caitlin Harvey coming up here on beam. And what a way to start it there. So it looks like there won't be any scoring here, but it looks like they're just trying to get some more practice in. So the event's not over yet, just yet.
Nice connection from that front aerial straight into that back handspring. Really nice artistry. Getting ready for that dismount. Back handspring full. A little supple landing. It's not as difficult as a 1.5. So it'll be a little bit of a deduction, a lower start value, but a strong routine, and you can't ask for anything else. You need to have strong, consistent beam workers, and that's what we were able to see today, and it ended with Caitlin Harvey.
Yeah, and Harvey started out the beam the way we've never seen start before, jumping on the springs.
Yeah.
That was quite impressive, I should say.
Pretty much, you can't really see the beam. You got to go into it backwards and really just trust yourself and trust your training into it.
And the really physics of all of it, that you're going to land in the perfect area.
Yeah,
like,
definitely has that wow factor that everyone likes to see.
All right. Well, currently, looks like we're still waiting the scores here. But overall, it sounds like that is it for this whole inter-squad meet. And although there were some, mistakes, it's best that those mistakes were made now. And I think, they got a lot of great practice. And the biggest culture shock, I think, of course, like we've been saying this over and over again, not to sound like a broken record, but the crowd, especially with those floor routines, they play a huge role, and it's kind of hard to feed off the energy on that. We saw, a couple mistakes there. It just shows that is a huge empty factor that they're going to have to get used to.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate sign of the times. I think all student athletes everywhere right now are really feeling it. But, this team did a great job of handling that change, getting into this environment earlier in the year, and handling the pressure of being in a competition environment. Like you said, there is the crowd missing, which is just a huge drawback to the energy of the overall competition environment. But this team did a great job of handling, what it's like to be in a lineup, having judges watch you, getting scored, having different places in the lineup, whether you're first or anchoring an event, and definitely great to see those freshmen and everyone else step up in different areas throughout the competition.
Yeah. And their season opener, this isn't announced just yet while we're waiting for the judges scoring, the final scoring here. We'll talk about the season opener. It will be on January 10th against Oklahoma. And like we've talked about earlier, you said the state of Oklahoma is a huge territory for gymnastics, and opening up the season against a powerhouse like them, that's not going to be easy.
No, definitely not an easy task, but what better way to start off the season than against one of the best? You get to see what that looks like, what it's like to compete with national champions, and see areas that how you can line up against. There's no better way to compete than to compete against one of the best.
Now we're awaiting the official announcement of the standings between Team Maroon and Team Gold. And it's been a terrific day of competition here, and like we said, their first meet right off the bat, not going to be easy at all. In fact, it could be their hardest, so we'll see what happens. And we can confirm there will be a full schedule, but nothing is announced yet. They will have a full schedule. They'll have Pac-12 opponents. Don't know yet on non-conference opponents other than that Oklahoma matchup, but really because of COVID-19, anything is predictable at this point. So,
these student athletes really have to be fluid and flexible for expectations for this season.
let's listen in. So Maroon will win it. 116.175 over 115.975. And they win it. And Maroon is now 1-0. And that will stay that way for the rest of the season. So, but a huge win for them. Our next stream will be this Saturday at noon, January 2nd, against Arkansas Little Rock. It's a wrestling matchup. We hope you'll join us then. But that is going to do it for us here in our entire stream team. For the stream team production staff and crew, I'm Caleb Bishy, along with Heather Udowich. I hope you had a good time. That's going to do it for all of us. We'll see you next year in 2021. Goodbye, everyone.